Hello, friends. Debbie Lichter here with Freedom Embodied Academy and the Congruence Code and the Congruence Collective, and it's so good to be here with you today. So raise your hand if you want more energy, you would love to have more time freedom, and you'd love to have more freedom. Just raise your hand. Because today I want to share with you 5 top leaking ways that you are just absolutely hemorrhaging your energy. And I share all these things are near and dear to my heart. These are all things that I have completely called myself out on in the recent past. Hey, Catherine, so good to see you, yay. And so as you listen to these things, just kind of listen and hear if this stuff is happening for you too. And again, no harm, no foul, no judgment. Just notice, because if you are someone who wants to have more energy, if you want to have more alignment, if you know you're here to shine your light and to help more people, then it's going to be really important to not be leaking your energy so that you can really authentically put more of you out there into the world. So let's dive in. So they're kind of in descending order, but they're all actually super important. But we will start with number 5 here. So number 5 is any withheld conversation. If there's any person that you know that you need to have a conversation with and you're avoiding it, or you're ignoring it, or you don't want to have conflict, or you don't want to disappoint. Hey, Alicia, so good to see you too, sister. This is so important, because this will steal your focus. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. I had one of these situations happening recently, and it was such an energy zapper, because there's this thing, it kind of keeps coming back into your awareness, and then you kind of push it out because you don't want to deal with it, and then you get distracted with something else, and then you're ignoring it, and then there's another fire you need to put out. You know what I'm talking about. So if you relate to this at all, or if you've ever related to this ever in your entire life, then the question is that you want to invite yourself into every single day is, what conversations do I need to have? Like, where can I close that gap? Where can I not be leaking energy, and where can I actually just move forward in authentic conversation? It's so courageous to do this, and this is like, speaking up is so powerful. And for those of you who kind of dive deeper with me into the whole conversation of freedom around addiction, speaking up and voicing your truth is actually one of the most important things to do as it relates to not going into whatever addiction du jour is going on, whether it's, social media or Netflix or food or obsessing or people pleasing or controlling or fixing or any of these things. This is so important. So number 5 is withholding. And if there's any courageous soul who are listening to this right now, and you want to just put, if you relate to one of these 5 energy leaks, just pop it into the comments so I know that you're with me. No judgment, but this is more of just like, you're really taking a stand for, I'm really here to do something different. Okay, so that's number 5, is withholding. Number 4 is a person in your life who's creating dead weight. So this includes people who are unsupportive, people who are actually negative in your life. Like, I've talked to so many people recently, and they're like, well, you have those friends that you've had since high school, and they just kind of, you kind of don't, and I'm like, yeah, well, how's that working? How's that working? Here's the thing, is that it's so important. And I'm going to say 2 things when it comes to this. It's so important to surround yourself with other people who are holding a frequency that you either aspire to be in, or that you feel like you are in. And actually both, I would say both. To be around folks like that is so important, especially if you are someone who is wanting to transmit and share more of your light. It's so important that you need to fill up, and one of the ways that we fill up is to surround ourselves with people who are holding a high vibration, a high frequency, which I know is one of the reasons why you're in this group and you're in this community. But that's so important. And the one the one disclaimer that I have to that statement is that I'm not one of these people that says, oh, you need to, push out all the people who you judge as like not being on the level or not doing the work that you are, like any of that self-righteous stuff. I really, that is not what we're talking about here, because I must say that some people who in my spiritual ego brain, I would say, oh, well, that person really, I know way much more than they do and whatever. Like oftentimes those are my best teachers. And in fact, what I need to eat is some humble pie, and I need to really listen and learn and stop thinking that I know who my teachers are and how they're supposed to show up in my life. So I'm certainly not suggesting any of that. But when we talk about people in your life who are creating dead weight, so if you relate to this, you can just put dead weight. We're talking about energy vampires. We're talking about the people who are not actually good friends of yours, the people who are like those frenemies who, whenever you're with them, all you're doing is trying to people please and overgive, and they're just taking all the time, and you're never actually getting, like it doesn't feel reciprocal, all of that kind of stuff. Like that's so important. This also can relate to somebody who you are obsessing about. So, and we're going to talk more about this in number 3, but any of those kind of addictions that involve obsession or love addiction or any of this kind of stuff where you're like obsessed about somebody, that also leaks so much energy and creates a lot of dead weight in your life. So the question to ask yourself here is there someone in my life that is not supporting me in being my most aligned, authentic, congruent expression? And if so, then does this person, do we need to part ways for a little while? Is there a conversation that needs to happen? Is there something for me to own and take responsibility for? I had a mentor in my life who was like, she was one of those people that would hold up a mirror, not consciously, but she'd hold up a mirror, and it was like she would say things to me sometimes, and I'm like, oh, and it would make me mad, and I would get frustrated, and I would, have all this stuff going on. But so, it wasn't one of those things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this person all the time. And yet she was an incredible teacher for me. And so sometimes somebody in your life is an incredible teacher, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're dead weight in your life. It just isn't always exactly how you want it to show up. So really ask yourself, what do I take responsibility for? Is there a conversation I need to have? And can I also recognize, is there somebody in my life that is just unsupportive of where I'm moving in the world? They are encouraging my distraction patterns, my sabotage patterns, my addictive patterns. It's not reciprocal, or they're just straight up unsupportive, or they're negative, or they're critical. Get honest with yourself about that, because if we're surrounding ourselves with those people, we are the culmination of the 5 people who we hang out with the most. That's interesting, right? The 5 people who you hang out the most, you are a combination of all those people. So if you're right now thinking of like, oh wait, this person, and oh gosh, if that's what's going on for you, then there's an opportunity for you to up-level all of that. Now, again, I'm not saying to walk away from your family members, but what I'm saying is that you get to be in choice, and you get to choose the soul family that you surround yourself with, so that you can actually be in that higher frequency, that higher vibration that's really going to support you in the ways that you want to, which, PS, by the way, is what this whole group is about. So I hope you're sticking around inside of it. Hey, Becca, good to see you, love. So, okay, so that is number 4. So number 3 is any sabotage pattern or addictive pattern. So this, again, is anything from social media, from just straight up distraction, whatever your busyness pattern is, whatever your distraction pattern is, overworking, food, smoking, love addiction, any of these things, any sabotage pattern, because this is what's happening with addictive patterns, sabotage patterns. Here's what's happening is that we are leaking energy with the amount of guilt, shame, remorse, judgment, all the stuff that's going on in and around it, not to mention the just the straight up obsession with the thing itself, the conversation going back and forth of your mind of should I, shouldn't I, well, you know, I'm good if I don't, and I'm bad if I do, and maybe it doesn't matter, and I'm thinking about it so much that maybe I should just have it anyway and put it out of my mind. And, you know, we play all these games with ourselves and just think about how much time and energy and life force that is just hemorrhaging from your entire system. So this is so, so important. If there's any addictive pattern or any sabotage pattern that's going on, this is really, like, I would say that this is, I probably should have put this as number 1, but this is number 3. So there's 2 more that are just as important, if not more. This needs all of your attention right now. And again, you know, addiction and sabotage comes when there's an internal incongruence happening inside of us. And so what we want to do is we want to start taking congruent action. We want to start living congruently, because when you live congruently, when your head, heart, and gut is all in alignment, then you have an internal sense of ease and comfort inside of you, and then you don't reach for a sense of ease and comfort outside of you. And so addictive patterns and sabotage patterns just go away. You're able to move forward in the world from a very authentic and aligned place. And so one of the ways that I find that we get into an incongruent pattern is not wanting to get honest with ourselves about something. So that's a question I'm going to ask you in just a moment. Or being scared about something. And so kind of having that push-pull energy, which we're going to talk a little bit more about. So what I'll invite you into right now, if you relate to having any kind of sabotage pattern or any kind of addictive pattern, or you just relate to that internal incongruence, remember, where your head, your heart, and your gut are not all on the same page, they're not in alignment, you have an internal discomfort or dis-ease happening inside of you. If you relate to any of that, then one of the things that you can do to just really, like a laser, start to take some congruent action is to get honest with yourself. Just to ask yourself, where am I living incongruently? Or what do I need to get honest about right now? You can just straight up ask yourself that. And sometimes it's not easy to, and it's not fun to ask ourselves those questions. And yet, when we start to get real with what's actually going on, when we can have the humility instead of the judgment, when we can have the humility to say, hey, let me get real with what's happening here. And let me speak up. Let me ask for help. Let me ask for support. Let me be that vulnerable and actually get into more aligned action. This is the powerful, powerful stuff that will put you on the trajectory of more freedom. It just will. And it actually unlocks a lot of energy, because otherwise you're just in obsession, like I should fix this, I don't know what to do, and all the kind of judgment that goes along with it. So number 3, great, big, huge, super, super important. So we have number 5, for those of you who are just tuning in, number 5 is any conversation that's being withheld. Number 4 is dead weight, people in your life who are dead weight. Number 3 is any sabotage pattern or addiction pattern. Okay, number 2, listen up to this one. So number 2, the number 2 top energy leak is any way that you are trying to control and manage your life. So this one totally hits home, because I'm always catching myself in this. It's so funny. And so I just invite you to really get honest with yourself. It's like we know the universe has our back, and then how often are we just pushing our own agenda along, being like, yeah, universe, I got this. I got this. I'm just going to go ahead and manage my relationships. I'm going to go ahead and manage my career over here. I'm going to go ahead and manage my money or manage the food. I'm just going to go ahead and figure out my sex life over here. You've got so many other things to worry about. I'm just going to be over here doing this because I know how it should be. I know how things should look. I know what people need to do. I know what I need to do. I know how everyone needs to be so that we all get along. And so don't worry about it. I got it. So this is the funny stuff that we do. And this will leak all of our energy because we are literally wearing the weight of the world on our shoulders. And so again, we can point to the ways that this starts to occur in our lives, because we don't just wake up one day and start to act this way. Usually it's happened over time. And at one age or stage in our lives, we decided or we realized, I got to figure things out on my own. I'm unsupported. I'm not getting what I need. And if I don't take care of numero uno right here, then no one else is going to. And so we cultivated this way of being that at the time was a really brilliant survival skill, an absolutely brilliant survival skill. The problem is right now is that the longer we are trying to control, manage, fix, all the stuff in our lives, and really pushing out the universe or pushing out source or pushing out God, this is going to tax our bodies. It's going to tax our system. It's going to tax our energy. It's going to tax our time, and it's going to block us from freedom. And so again, the question you want to ask yourself here is, where am I trying to push and manage my agenda? Like, where am I trying to control? Where am I living under the delusion that I should control and manage my life? And how is it working for me? How is it working for me? Thinking that I know how things should be, thinking that I know what support should look like, and how it's supposed to come into my life, and all these things. How is all of that working for me? Really, really important questions to ask. So take a deep breath. We're almost at number 1. This is super, super important. All of these are super, super important. So I hope you're taking notes. If you relate, definitely make a comment and let us know which one you relate to the most. This is important. We are all in this together. We are all growing together. And we are all, I feel like we are all in this global constellation together, just learning and building off of each other. So if you've got something to add to the conversation, please, please do share. Okay, so number 5, the number 5 of the top energy leaks is holding back on shining your light. Holding back on shining your light. So here is the deal. And this is so, so important. Hi, Anna. So good to see you, love. So this is so, so important, because if you have that push-pull, like something's calling you forward to shine your light, and yet you're not doing it, and you've got this fear happening of, I'm not walking my talk, or I'm a hypocrite, or I'm not ready, or people are going to judge me, or no one gets me, or I've got nothing to offer, or I don't have anything to say, or any of that stuff. If you've got any of that happening, or when I speak with a lot of folks, it's like, I know that I want to do something that's more, helping others in the world, and yet I don't want to give up the security of my job. I've got this happening over here, and I just don't want to give that up, but I know, and it's like sucking my life force energy over here, and people will literally say that. So, talk about an energy leak. If you are spending 8+ hours a day doing something that is incongruent for you, imagine what that's doing to your physiology. Imagine what that's doing to your health. Imagine what that's doing to your overall disposition and your overall well-being. It's really, really challenging to move forward in this life, to be able to be present with the people in your life, to actually cultivate a feeling of joy in your life, to have an authentic feeling of abundance in your life, and certainly to have a feeling of freedom if you are spending so much of your life doing something that just fitting a square peg into a round hole. So that's the piece about work. Now, I'm not telling everyone to go out and quit your job today, but what I am happy to support you around, and what I help people around all day long, is coming into more congruency with what is right now, so that you actually can move forward, and it's a both and. It's not an either or. It's not a, I've got to quit my job and there's an and conversation. And there's infinite possibilities the way that looks. And I have talked to so many people who have found a way to congruently be able to live their lives, to be able to serve, to be able to help more people, to be able to feel lit up from the inside out. And it becomes an absolute and. So that is available to you. And if you're someone who's just sitting there going, okay, I'm already a coach, I'm already a healer, I'm already doing this, and yet I feel like I'm not walking my talk. I'm feeling like a hypocrite. I'm maybe a health coach, but I can't control my food. P.S. by the way, I totally get it. Health and fitness expert, and was living super incongruently. So if any of that is going on, then again, this is the time to not go into more judgment and more discrepancy of I should be here, but I'm really here. And, because all of that judgment just creates more block. It actually holds us hostage from the very freedom and energy and time freedom that we're wanting. But it's just a really good opportunity for you if you're wanting to really shift out of that as an energy leak, is to get into some aligned, congruent action. Again, everything comes back to this. Everything comes back to this. Because the reason why this is such a #1 leak is because literally your soul is calling for you to move forward into something. That deep soul purpose is calling forward. It wants to express itself in life, that very nature of life itself wanting to express itself through you. And so when you hold that back, it's like holding life back from wanting to express itself through you. That takes a lot of energy in order to do. It takes a lot of energy to hold back life wanting to express itself through you. That can lead to sabotage and addiction. It can lead to distraction patterns. It can lead to all the other things that we've been talking about. And so one way to just take that aligned action, again, is to get honest with yourself and to really sit with this fear. So the fear of I'm not ready yet, or the fear of I'm not walking my talk, and really say, okay, so what's one thing that I could do right now to get into alignment? What's one thing I could do right now to start walking my talk? This is where I meet a lot of people, frankly, who call me and who are like, or email me or message me on Facebook and say, I need to work with you because you're walking your talk. And I need to do that because I'm here to help more people. And I'm like, yes, you do. And yes, let's do that. Because I know the experience of not embodying the very message that I want to give into the world. And it blocks us. Totally blocks us, because there's a part of us that knows that we're not embodying it, we're not living it, and so we know that we would just be a talking head, and it doesn't feel good. We know that we can't transmit the very transformation that we're wanting to share with people because we're not living it. And so what I say is, then get on your own path. If you're anything like me, it's like, get honest, get humble, get ready, get willing, and just go for it. And it doesn't have to be with me, it can be with whomever you feel super aligned with. But I would say to get into that action is so, so important. So there you have it. You have the #5 is withholding in a conversation, or not speaking up, withholding truth. That is #5. #4 is any dead weight of any person in your life who's creating that sap of energy to you. #4 is any sabotage. #3 is any sabotage or addictive pattern. #2 are the ways that you are trying to control and manage and push your agenda along in this universe. And #1 is holding back your light. These are 5 energy leaks, and hopefully you've gotten lots of tools in our conversation today about small things that you can do to really shift that right now. Of course, if you really want to dive in deeper to this and you want more support, I'm always available for you. You can reach out and grab some time with me. You can go to allofyou.today, allofyou.today, and you can grab a spot on my calendar for Congruence Activation Call. I'm always super, super happy to help people with coming into deeper alignment so that you can shine your light, so that you can speak up, so that you can live in integrity and authenticity and alignment, because that is what makes the entire world light up too. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope it was valuable for you, and I hope to connect with you more soon. Bye for now. Mwah.